Tamurkhan must rise. We're finally here. It is time to get this bloody live react video in place. I have been looking forward to this all day. And when I say all day, I do mean all day. At the moment, I've got a conversion going on over in my garage where my new office is going to be. It's almost finished, but not quite. Oh, pardon me. I've just got a slight pause because I can hear my own voice in my ear. Give me a second while I just get rid of that. Is it there? Nope. Yeah, so just give me a second while I get rid of that, because that should not be happening, and it's particularly aggravating. Right, so anyway, as I was saying, I've got my own office running in, and they've just hooked it up with internet today. But that did mean I was without internet pretty much all day, and today of all days, that was not a good day to be without it. So we were leaving it off till 9 o'clock this evening. I was discussing with Lindsay in the background going, we could do this a bit earlier, but couldn't be sure we'd have the internet. But we do. It's all ready. It's good to go. I'm ready to go. How about everyone else out there? I'm going to bring it up. Look, there it is right there. I can't believe we're about to go. Right, so I've got a couple of things to say just before I start it. Number one, how am I going to do this? First, I'm just going to let this trailer run. If I stop it every 2 seconds and interrupt, then that's just going to be totally rubbish. I want to actually immerse myself in what this trailer is like, so I want to see all the awesomeness that it actually has to offer firsthand first. And then once I've done that, I'm going to play it again. I'm going to pause and stop and pause and drop in various comments about whatever I think about whatever I see. Now, I know vaguely what's in this trailer already because it's bloody hard to avoid spoilers on the internet. Plus, I spoke to Sotek just a few days ago, and he knew everything that was in it already, and he was just as enthusiastic about the whole thing as I was. So, I'm going to do first a watch through, then I'll check any super chats just in case there are any in. And then once we've done that, I'll dive through going through each of the individual scenes. Any characters that I'll spot, I'll call out. If you think I may have missed some, please do tell me, because I almost certainly will have. Remember, my total war knowledge is meh. I still haven't started playing the game properly, the third one. I'm going to be doing that once my office is finished. We're getting carpets in about a week and a half. As I say, today it was internet in. So, 1... watch it, 2 super chats, 3 discuss it and do some lower dives as and where that's appropriate. But beyond that, I think we're good to go. I see literally no reason not to wait it any longer. Could I make the camera larger? So I've got some questions there. I'm saying from Jeff, could I make the camera larger? Is that for myself? As in making myself larger? Is that what you're asking? Because I can do things like that. I can do things like just get rid of it, I suppose, but I don't think I really want to do that. I'm not entirely upset with having that as a quick one. Is that good enough for you, Jeff? Because I'm good to go, I think. I don't really want to make it that way round, or indeed the opposite way around either, because that's altogether too silly. So let's just get on with this. I don't want to wait any longer. I'm going to reach over and I'm going to grab the screen that's got the video on it, and I'm going to actually finally start this thing. It's been sitting there for ages. Are you all ready? Because I bloody am. Do you know how hard it's going to be not to press pause as I'm watching this? It's going to be really, really hard. So here we go. I could have made it bigger, by the way, the image in the corner. I just didn't do it for this one. So if we do want it bigger for next time, I'll make myself a little bit bigger. That's to respond to you there, Neoris, when you say it could be slightly larger in OBS. I can literally make it any size I want in this one. I just didn't. I just went with the small one in the corner. So here we freaking go. I'm going to watch it over on this screen over here. So I'm going to be looking off towards the side. Let's just get down with it. Please tell me you can hear that. I'm just putting it straight back to the beginning. Okay, right. So first things first. Oh yeah. Okay, right. So there's a lot I can say. There's so many things I think I saw. There's some things I'm not sure if I did see, and I think I might have seen. There was definitely a certain amount of Felix and Gotrek there, which just made me laugh. But the first thing I'm going to say is that music. Holy crap sticks. Duh, 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 duh. That's just super awesome. Yeah, one thing you can certainly say about good old Creative Assembly is that they do nail their adverts pretty well. I was a little surprised that there was no overarching, let's say, plot beyond we're clearly attacking a city. I'm going to presume it's Nuln, given the nature of the DLC that we've got here and all the characters that are being used. I will, however, be making a note about that because I was looking for the background scenery. That does not look like Nuln. But who cares? Let's just say it's a little sidey bit of Nuln. That will do. So I'm going to go through this a little bit more slowly. I am pretty keen on making comments about quite a lot of it, actually, but I think slowly I'm going to catch more. So I'm going to start it, and I'm going to shut up while it's playing, because there's nothing worse than trying to do each other. Right, so there's Elspeth. Coming in on her massive Carmine Dragon, which it's worth noting is unnamed as far as I'm aware. Never spotted a name for that anywhere. If anyone knows it, please do drop it down in the comments. If you don't know what a Carmine Dragon is, it's a new dragon that was created by, I say new, it's ancient. It's a new dragon that was created by Forge World for the Tamurkhan book, and it basically spits out sorcerous fire from hell. Love it. Elspeth was also created for this, and she is one of the greatest amethyst wizards of her age, Elspeth von Draken. There's something else worth saying about her as well, which I'll get to once she pops up, because Elspeth has got a relatively unique piece of background that I'm not entirely sure that the writers realised that they'd written. So I'm going to pop that up as she arrives. Oh, nice. Oh, look at that throne. It's nice to see. Now, I've painted this miniature. I also have a broken version through in my hall just now of just the Carmine Dragon itself. And this is pretty spotty. Oh, there she's coming in. Okay. Nice. Okay, get a good shot of her there. Okay, so yeah, this is pretty cool. Right, there's a couple of things I'm going to say. Number one, she's freaking cool. Number two, Elspeth has got this funky little power where she effectively almost becomes a ghost. And I didn't spot that at all in the trailer, which suggests that they might not be doing it here. Is the trailer really loud in comparison to me? I do apologize for that. My volume is currently having some issues, which I think will be resolved when I move studio. So I hope you can still hear me clearly. Can I be heard? Just double check that. So whilst we're doing that one, I can turn the sound down a little bit, and I'll hope that that will, there we go, just pull it down there a little. Right, so, as I was saying, Elspeth von Draken comes from either one of two lines. Now, in the background that they wrote for her inside the good old Tamurkhan book, she was given as coming from a great magical family that had pretty much given both monsters and great heroes to the Empire. Now, there's really only two Draken, and Drakenfell type areas. One is in the south of Reichland, and the other one is in Sylvania. And she is an amethyst wizard, which would generally suggest that she's not necessarily going to be coming from the south of Reichland. Now, if she comes from the south of Reichland, she'll be related to the Drakenbergs, the Drakenbergs, there's two, and the Draks that live in that area. There's several famous bloodlines, one of which even got dropped into a couple of the various Black Library novels. They are generally all named after, of all characters, Drakenfells. If you don't know your Drakenfells novels, he is a big bad that lives in the Grey Mountains who predates the old ones. He's pretty much one of the older characters of Warhammer, created originally all the way back in the 80s in the very first Games Workshop novels. However, there is another line which seems to be all the more likely, and that's the Draks and the Drakens and the Drakenbergs that come from Sylvania. A very famous Drak, indeed, is Isabella von Drak, who you may know better as Isabella von Karstein. It is exceedingly likely, given the big build-up that she's given concerning the fact that her family line has created some of the worst monsters that the Empire has seen, that she is a direct, not necessarily descendant, but certainly relative of, Isabella von Karstein, which is just kind of beautiful. I really like that. Beyond that, she's a super cool character. She's, as is often the case with the Forge World characters, incredibly powerful. You'll find that her dragon kicks quite a bit of ass, but nowhere near as much ass kicking as Tamurkhan, which I'm hoping we're going to be seeing in this one. Given what we saw in the big front image, we're going to be seeing Tamurkhan very soon. So let's get this started again. I really love the model. I think they've nailed it. In fact, for me, they've made her a bit too bright and colourful, but that's probably to make sure that she stood out with her dragon, to make sure that she looked good. If you take a look inside the old Throne of Chaos, the Tamurkhan book, you'll see a piece of artwork that was done for her, which was actually lovely, and that's generally what sits inside my head canon for what she looks like. But she's been sitting in and around Nuln for at least the last 60-70 years. It's also worth noting she is not the most powerful amethyst wizard in all of the Empire. The good old Graveyard Rose, as she's often referred to, because she's been hanging around the Gardens of Mor right beside Nuln for the last, as I say, 60 years or so. She is almost certainly second to another Sylvanian, Viggo Hexenson, who is the patriarch of the Amethyst Order come the end times, or at least preceding and running up to. Viggo Hexenson himself may be almost twice as old as her, and she's already at least probably 80, if not 90, maybe 100, maybe much more, because they're often a little bit dodgy with laying those things down. Right, so anyway, let's get back onto it. We don't need to worry about her having her Dark Walker powers, as in effectively becoming a ghost, because I don't think this is what this trailer's about. Let's have a quick check to see what comes next. We all know what's coming next. She's about to cast the Purple Sun. Oh yeah, a good bit of crowd control there as you wipe out a chunk of the old nurgle troops. Now, if you ever read the old Tamurkhan book, it was all about Chaos Dwarves versus the Empire. Well, not really. Chaos Dwarves versus nurgle versus the Empire. And this is very much taking the nurgle and the Empire and adding a new section. Instead of Chaos Dwarves, we're about to get a bunch of dwarves, as we'll see, as we've got a bunch of... Did we get any new troop types sitting there in the background there? I'm going to replay that again just to double check. Yeah, not any seeing. We're seeing, what, Chaos Warriors. Okay, so got ourselves a bunch. Oh, we're about to see the man himself. Oh. Okay, so I love this character. Let's just pause it on him. So this is Theodore Bruckner. Theodore Bruckner is a giant amongst giants. And by that I mean he is probably one of the tallest people in the Empire. Now, if you have ever seen the old miniature for this that came from Forge World, it was farcically big. And by that I mean, if you put him into a unit of Empire troops, he was almost much more than head and shoulders. He was almost twice as tall as some of the older plastic models. He was truly huge. I loved the model. I converted it into a couple of other things as well because it was just so useful as a model. I would say this does not do the model justice because right here, he doesn't look that much bigger than the one that slumped down on the ground in front of him. I mean, he looks pretty big, but he doesn't look like he's a freaking giant. Not only that, the what's the name of his mount? It's Reaper. Don't forget the name. So Reaper, in the original model was almost, in terms of how it looked, super butch, really big. It was so much bigger than all of the other demigryphs. And I do mean significantly bigger, because it obviously had to carry his model. As is often the case with Forge World, they do like to go big. I think it was modeled by Kev Adams. No, not Kev Adams. Kev Walker. No, not Kev Walker. Can't remember. Doesn't really matter. It was really big. This looks very similar to the artwork, though, so I'll give them that. I'm not so sure I like the lance, because the lance is the Storm Lance, and the Storm Lance is laced through with basically a Azir, and it crackles with lightning, and it has lots of lightning runes laid all down its length. So that there looks a little bitty dark and matches his character beautifully, but doesn't match the weapon's description. The character description for good old Theodore Bruckner is, well, he's literally the headsman of Countess Emmanuel of Nuln. He's also her personal judicial champion, and he is an absolute monster. a truly enormous monster. He carries a unique weapon, which I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. It's like Liar's Bane. I can remember it. There we go. So he carries Liar's Bane, which just means that he's more likely to hit you and do more damage to you. And he is pretty much undefeated because the man is, as I say, a monster. If you're looking for someone to hold off against the forces of chaos, this is very much your man. Back in the old Tamurkhan book, he was one of the Lord choices, but wasn't really supposed to lead your army, and indeed couldn't. They had a different option for if you wanted to lead your army. I'd be interested to see if he pops up as well, because that would be quite interesting. Anyway, let's see what comes next. I'll just bring up a comment there. He's also half Norscan. Depends on which source you read. That's definitely a rumor, but it's not confirmed. At least not confirmed that I'm aware of. So if you do have the source for that, that'd be lovely. But I'm pretty sure it's that's nothing more than a rumor, and indeed may very much not be the case. It was just a handy way of saying that dude's too big to be real. He must be a Norscan. Oh, look at all of them. The demigryphs running around. Okay, colors. Purple. We've got ourselves some sort of repeater gun there. That's interesting. Gates collapse down. Big nurgly thing in the background. I'm really not jumping at anything there unless somebody knows that they're special troops that I'm unaware of, which they very well may be. So, oh, that was that the purple sun running off in the background just there? Let me just pull that back a little bit. All the purple shots going off in the background, maybe. Yeah, you're seeing it. Continue. Oi! It's the Nurgle Ogre. Oh, love it! That's a plague ogre. Can I get a shot of that, which doesn't completely... sadly, no, it's a bit blurry. It'd be really nice if it wasn't quite so blurry. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. I love that. You can see all the buboes and the pox on it. They've actually done a decent model here. You often find with Total War, at least I find with Total War, because of the obvious expense that they have with creating new assets for all their different troop types, that you're never quite sure whether they're actually going to do a completely new model. But that's gorgeous. Look at that. Big, huge plague. Wait a minute. Are they... let me just pull back on that one more time, because they look like they might be rot beasts. Or at least light. The thing swarming past it looks like rot beasts. Oh, we've got an engineer. Nice. Oh, that's a good shot, isn't it? Seeing down over all the hordes of chaos. Big, massive war mammoth there in the background. The shots going. And up in the sky, it looks like a bunch of rot flies flying through. Love it. Yeah, thanks very much for just pointing that one on, BT. You can obviously tell that I don't do enough reaction streams, can't you? Because I didn't know that. So I've now got those keys sitting beside me, which is the best, because look, I can now do a dance going backwards and forwards. Love that. Oh, yeah, look at that. Bam, 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 bang. I'm a child. I love this. Okay, so, right. My first thought was that we might get ourselves an engineer special character, but this just looks like it's a standard engineer. I was, I'll admit, kind of hoping that we get Jubal Falk. If you've read the Tamurkhan book, Jubal Falk is the special character engineer in there who runs the Nuln Ironsides. I was hoping that we'd get him here, but that's obviously not the case. I really need to just let it run. I'm being too amused by the explosions going by. So let's see what comes up next. That looks like we just got ourselves a master engineer. I don't know the troop lists that are coming in the new DLC, but I'm going to presume from this that we're getting a master engineer. They wouldn't have bothered focusing on it. I apparently have knocked the sound off, so let me just put that back on. That was... oh, here he comes. Let's just pull back just a little bit so that we can glory in his arrival. So what got killed there? Was it the ogre? Or was it the giant? Right. Holy shit, yes! Okay, right, let's just carry on a little bit so we can get the close-up. Man himself. Actually, let's just take a moment to look at that, because this is really easy to accidentally misscale, because we've got ourselves a rider sitting on the top, and our brains often automatically fool ourselves into thinking, so that's some sort of giant human-y thing, great, sitting on a big dragon-y thing, great, but it's not a human, that is one giant ogre. that is currently being ridden, for want of a better word, by the Maggot Lord himself. So, yes, this dragon, this particular toad dragon, is enormous. And it's so big, in fact, its stats over in Warhammer are truly ridiculous. It makes someone like Galrauch, if you've watched the Galrauch stream that Sotek and I did, the Galrauch stream was really fun, but his stats are terrible in comparison to this thing. This thing is nasty. It's got special rules that basically say it's so big that you can barely hurt it. You can never roll more than a 4+ to wound it, for example. It's going to be absorbing most of the blows and regenerating. This gigantic toad dragon, Bubelos, as I recall, Bubelos, his enormous toad dragon, is bluntly so big that it's almost impossible to kill, and it has a huge ogre on top of it. Let's get a close-up of the man himself, though, because we need to see Tamurkhan, because he will rise. Here we go. Let's see if we can get a shot. Let's see if we can get... Wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's lovely. Look at that. Right, so there's a couple of things to say about good old Tamurkhan. As is often the case with almost mythical level Chaos Lords, their, let's say, genesis is lost in time. There are all manner of beginning points that might be attributed to him. What's most important is, who is Tamurkhan? This isn't Tamurkhan. That may come as a surprise. Tamurkhan is the thing that's inside him. This is the ogre that killed the previous host that Tamurkhan was in, that was a Slaanesh champion that Tamurkhan had got into. Tamurkhan himself looks like this bizarre, leechy, baby, horrible thing. And what it does is it slithers up and it goes in through the mouth. Look how completely messed up its mouth is, pushing all the way back in. Oh, I've got a comment stuck on screen. Pardon me, let me just get rid of that. There we go. Done. Thanks for pointing that one out. Look at that huge maw. That's been stretched open by Tamurkhan going into it and down inside. As we all know, ogres on the inside, they can eat and digest pretty much anything. But not Tamurkhan, because Tamurkhan is, well, disease itself. And it sinks in and it makes a new host. Indeed, it has special rules that I don't think will be coming over to Total War, although if they did, it would be freaking awesome. And what happens is if you kill Tamurkhan, or at least its host, Tamurkhan bursts out and dives to try and get into whatever killed it. So say, for example, Teclis was having a nice little jaunt, spots good old Tamurkhan over there and goes, "Hey, Tamurkhan, you're not going to rise. I'm taking you down." He swoops over and goes, "Hey, bop," and takes him out because, well, he's Teclis. All sorts of horrible coruscating lightning comes flashing from the skies, and he's dead, except he's not. Tamurkhan bursts out, goes into Teclis, settles into his guts, and Teclis is now Tamurkhan. Uh-oh, Chaos are onto a winner. So that was his special rule. I'm pretty convinced that they're not going to be doing that here, but it would be super fun if there was some sort of body skipping mechanic that Tamurkhan could do, because it would be freaking awesome. I imagine they won't be doing that, though. I imagine it'll just be, here's our big giant ogre version of Tamurkhan. Watch him kick ass, chew gum, and he's all out of gum. I mean, just look at him. He's definitely all out of gum. Look at the big gut plate there. Do love that. Yeah, really loving that. Really, really loving that. Anyway, let's carry on. We've got our good old Tamurkhan, who's got his little maggoty body inside himself. And we've got Bubelos, the good old toady dragon. Let's see what comes next. In fact, I don't remember what comes next. And I'm quite pleased about this because I didn't know it was in the trailer. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. Is there anything up? Oh, yes, in the background. Ha ha ha. Right, I'm going to call this out. Now, I'm not sure we're going to get a decent shot of this. Let me just see if any of these go in. Oh, that is rude, Creative Assembly. That is rude. Now, you might notice there's a bunch of blurry things moving very quickly to either side of our good old Chaos Lord, who's thrusting his axe up in the sky, waiting to be shot, I presume, by an engineer. And they're all blurry. Now, the reason that I was quite excited to see these is because I am pretty convinced that that is something that we never actually got models for from Forge World. So I was hoping that I might actually get a chance to see them. But we're not going to get it, are we? No, it's not coming in at all. God damn it. Oh, well, never mind. I'm a little bit sad because I kind of wanted to see those. I'm just going to move on and just pretend it never happened and just see what comes next. No rot nights for me. Anyway, let's carry on. Okay, so we start off with a big, huge plague ogre, and watch what's about to happen to him, because this bit really made me smile. Shot in the face by a slayer, and one of the best slayers, Malachi Mackayson. There we go. Malachi Mackayson. How can you go wrong with our favourite Slayer engineer who created gigantic airships that everybody died in? His background always makes me smile. For all, it's absolutely horrific and filled with shame, and it meant that he had to go on to take the Slayer oath and become the Slayer engineer that we all know and love today. I imagine his mechanics will be quite unlike any other Slayer in practice, given that he's going to be bedecked with guns, but also almost certainly very good in close combat. Just super pleased to see him here. And also, as I recall, this is the bit we're about to see more than just him as well, aren't we? Let me just... Yep, there they are. Let's just pause there and just spin around and say, I can see Felix and Gotrek! I can see Felix and Gotrek! I can see Felix and Gotrek! Okay, it's a bit childish, but there we go. Oh, wait a minute. Who's that on the side? Wait a minute. Can I... That looks like 3 crests. Is that Garagrim? I think that's Garagrim Iron Fist. Haha! Awesome! Well, that's quite the party they've got up there. That's actually mental. Okay, so we've got Gotrek and we've got Felix. Let's just push that forward there. So there's, in that shot there, Gotrek's Felix and Garagrim. So Garagrim Iron Fist is the son of the Slayer King, Ungrim Iron Fist, who is by himself absolutely kick-ass. That's all kinds of fun. I presume he must be in the DLC then. Haha! How cool is that? That's everybody together having themselves a proper party in Nuln. Which, if you've read any of the Gotrek and Felix books, and I did a stream very recently with a good old lore master of Sotek. I wish you were here. We're going to be doing a big reaction set of streams with him tomorrow. But I'll get onto that a little bit later in the stream. Yeah, okay, so this is awesome. I've got completely lost. Nuln is obviously where many of the Gotrek and Felix books take place, so it's good that they're here. Let's see where it goes. Do I get a better shot of them? Oh no, you can see them all from above. Oh yeah, that's Garagrim. Look at him. Sitting there right in the center. Oh, that's definitely Garagrim. I'm going to quickly check the... it's a legend... Oh, there we go, it is. Ha-ha! Legendary hero. Thanks very much, Ravzar. Presuming that I say your name correctly there. That is pretty awesome. I will say, though, that there is nobody getting through that particular area ever. That's... no, is that a couple of plague bearers getting killed by them as well? Yeah, of course it is. There's some rot flies coming in. Yep, they've held that all by themselves. Do we have any Doomseekers after that? Oh, this bit made me smile. I'm really looking forward to this bit coming up, actually, because not only do we get to see ourselves a pretty awesome airship, a good old thunder barge, I presume, but we also get to see inside it, and I love this bit. So here we go. I'm just going to let this run. There we go. We can get right inside it. Look at them. I'm just going to pause. So not only do we have the ho, ha, ho, ho, which is super fun for the background music. So we're getting that real feeling that we've moved from the previous fight into the dwarf section properly now. And in comes the airship. They're all fighting down either side, but on the inside, one presumes a host of crew, thanes, who knows who it is in there. They're just having themselves a good drink. They're about to go into war. There's all manner of chaos hordes laying on the outside, laying waste to Nuln. But what are they doing? They're having themselves a lovely drink on the inside, including a Slayer there who really should know better. You can just see him sitting in there. There's our pilot sitting up at the top, of course, raising up his arm. And then this is where I believe they unleash all the bombs. Happened, isn't it? Yeah. Right, you're screwed. Boom. Oh god, I hate this war machine so much and simultaneously adore it. The good old goblin here. So this was created for a book called Storm of Chaos. In fact, for the Storm of Chaos campaign as part of the Carrick Cadrin Slayer army list. That's where we also got characters like Ungrim Iron Fist being, well, Ungrim Iron Fist came before that, but his son, Garagrim. And we also got ourselves Mackyson's Goblin Ewer, which basically just throws axes at an enemy like that's at all efficient. Just this big pile of axes that it lobs. Every time someone brought that out in the battlefield, you couldn't help but laugh because it's so absolutely ridiculous. And somehow it's more ridiculous than, say, that giant airship, which is obviously ridiculous with its cannons and its bombs and the amount of metal it's managing to hold up with its air balloon. But somehow this completely out ridiculous did them all. For all, I still kind of love it. It is proper daft. Now, I do have a question. Is that chains sitting against those axes? And do you think that they are Doomseekers sitting in the background there? Because that's what I was thinking when I was watching. I'm going to just pause it on a little bit because it really does look like they got chains off. Does anyone know if there's Doomseekers in the DLC? Because we've got ourselves a nice Slayer. That's a normal Slayer there. And you can see what the normal Slayer looks like. But the ones sitting off to the side, over to the left of it, that very much, though they are in. Excellent. Thank you very much. That's what happens when you have no idea what's in the DLC. You just have to make guesses like I am. Thanks very much for confirming that, chat. You rock. They are confirmed. Thanks, Alex. Doomseekers are confirmed. You all rock. So, yeah, absolutely. You can. I'm pretty sure that's them just running up the side there. So they've been snuck in. Oh, there's Tamurkhan again. Just checking the background to see if there's anything else worth noting. Oh. I missed this first time round. I didn't see that at all. Is that... Kate? Is that the Befouled? I think it is. Is that... that's like a whole other Nurgle Lord. I didn't... two others. Because that could be... I mean, is it? Is that Epidemius as well? And it's... I didn't expect to have Khazak and Epidemius as well. That's awesome. He looks pretty small by comparison. It's really made his palanquin that he sits on look tiny. But there, we have got ourselves what I was hoping that I was going to get to see earlier, a Rot Beast. Do we get a good unblurred shot of the Rot Beast? Because Khazak rides a Rot Beast, as I recall, and this will be the same thing that the knights that I didn't get a chance to see earlier, rather disappointingly, will be riding, so it gives us an opportunity to see it. It's all very blurry. This is, I mean, obviously it makes it much more cinematic, but right now, I kind of wish I could see it. Okay, so let's just check the chat. So getting confirmed there. Kazak, I never know how to pronounce that one. It's one I always read without actually hearing it out loud. Legendary Hero and Epidemius is, there we go. A Legendary Lord as well. That's brilliant. The resolution could be higher, but we're streaming at 1080p because we're on multiple platforms. So we could go 4K, but then I'd just be on a single platform, and I didn't want to leave anybody out. So as it currently stands, we're stuck with what we've got from YouTube at 1080p. But I am actually slightly regretting that because right now I wouldn't mind seeing that a little bit more clearly. Oh, no, there, we got a good shot of it there. Yeah. Yeah, there's all the rot flies in the background. Oh, that's cool. So they've gone for greens and purples and all rotting flesh twisting round into the horns, big buboes and horrible bits sticking out, and a quite ridiculous throne getting moved around by nurglings in the background. Little beasties. Actually looks ridiculous. That makes me smile. Ha ha ha. Let's just let this go because... Oh, wait a minute. Do we have any of the... Oh, there's Gotrek and Felix. Well, there's Felix at least. Which one's Gotrek? Is that in there? Yeah, that's Gotrek. So there's Gotrek and Felix. Love it. In the background with all the Slayers that are all storming forward. Oh, that's a really nice shot. Just take a moment to appreciate what they've built there. We've got all of our Slayers running around. We've got our favourite heroes making their way both in the foreground as good old Malachi sits there with his gigantic gun. And then in the background, we also have the airship swooping in and a whole bunch of gyrocopters moving in formation like they're the bloody red arrows. This is pretty cool. So let's carry on. There's also 3 of them. So this is accurate to the story of what happens with Nuln. cut a long story short, because this is actually quite a long story, Marienburg wanted steam tanks, but steam tanks were too difficult to make. Nevertheless, Nuln said, yeah, we can make you steam tanks. Let me just get rid of that comment there. So we can make you absolutely awesome steam tanks. Turns out they kind of couldn't. And they tried, and they tried, and they tried again. And as you may note by the enormous thing that's sitting on the screen, what eventually happened when they got themselves the big, huge Marienburg class land battleships was not quite the steam tank they had before. Their biggest problems was they couldn't get the big, huge guns inside the tank and still get the tank to move and not recoil right off the place. And as I recall, there was an engineer by the name of Hezekiah, as I recall. I think it's Hezekiah Gutman, I think. Hezekiah Gutman. And Hezekiah Gutman was the one that suggested that they make the ship bigger. And, you know, in a nod to Marienburg, why not make it a ship? Because that would also ensure that they could use it in their marshes if they wanted to do so. Cut a very long story short, Hezekiah builds and designs what is now the massive Marienburg class land battleships, the big land ships. They are properly daft, and they are noted inside the book as well as being truly stupid. Everyone thinks they're stupid, but when Tamurkhan comes along with everyone else, they are taken to the field. And of course, Marienburg charges everyone through the nose for them to be used. There is very few of them built. In this case, I think 3 is fine. It works really quite nicely. They have big, huge, enormous boilers inside because they couldn't shrink those boilers down into something much, much smaller, like the steam tanks had, which was the basic issue that they had with trying to recreate the steam tanks. So this is the gigantic Marienburg equivalent of a steam tank. And it always makes me laugh whenever I see one, because if you thought the Goblin Hewer was stupid, this is, if anything, even more stupid. But I still love it. Sadly, one of the models I never actually got round to buying, which, looking at them rolling across the screen, actually makes me a bit sad. Oh, Demogryphs passing by. Are we going to get another shot of... Check it. Now, there he is. We are going to get another shot of him. This might give us an opportunity to see if there's much of a size difference between him and all the rest of the Demogryph Knights. They really should be a lot bigger. So I'm going to see if we get an opportunity to see if he is. I mean, it's bigger. It's... maybe. I mean... Sure, it's bigger. I mean, it's a different model. Feathers sticking out in a different way, but it doesn't look significantly bigger. I mean, the head's quite a bit bigger. If you take a look at the size of the head there and compare it to the size to the one over on the left-hand side, it's definitely bigger. But I will say that I don't think that's as big as it could have been. And given that we're in Total War, you do have that opportunity to go a bit silly with scale. Just look at those ridiculous landships. So there's no reason that that can't be done. Having said that, it's fine. It's nowhere near as big as the miniature was. And the miniature was truly huge. I had him in one of my units. And he completely dwarfed all the ones around him. It's a little bit like, I don't know if any of you have gone horse riding. And you go horse riding with your family. And the big person, I'm pretty big, I'm over 6 foot tall, is on one of the big horses and looks down at all the other people who are on much smaller horses, and you're almost 3, if not 4 or 5 foot taller than everyone else around you, because it's not just that you're taller, your mount to ensure it can accommodate you is also much, much taller. So that, I feel, hasn't been conveyed here, but still, who cares? We've got the character in the game. I'm delighted. That's freaking amazing, while simultaneously is not quite what I would have liked to see. So this is awesome. Let's carry on and see what's next. Of course, it's Elspeth. And in fact, I'm going to use this as justification for why I think she is related to the Von Drakes. Are you ready? Here we go. Because she does something that just made me go, yeah, you've been playing too many vampire games. Here it comes. Oh, what's she reaching out to? Oh, she has spent far too long with her kiss makeup. Look at that. She almost wants to have pointy teeth. Those big raven feathers sitting to either side. Brilliant. freaking awesome as we then pull out to see. Right, so I'm going to stop here. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here so we can take a little bit of time to look at Nuln. Nuln is on a giant hill. Where's my hill? It's not there. This is not really Nuln as it's been described, but it is cool, so who cares? But I will say, if you're looking for an accurate version of what Nuln looks like, this isn't it. Nuln is one of the great jewels in the Empire, one of its biggest cities. It's super important. It's ruled by one of the most influential politicians in the Empire, the Countess Emanuelle von Leibowitz. And she is one of my favorite characters. She's super awesome. I did a stream about her at some point in the past. You can go find it back on YouTube if you want to go learn a little bit about her. I've written about her multiple times in official books, and she's just super great. This is not an accurate depiction of Nuln, but I think it is a really fun depiction of what Nuln would be like when it was getting attacked by Tamurkhan, because this is an event. I'll also call out one potential discrepancy, let's say error, that currently sits inside the books as well. And this will be one that, for those of you who followed any of my other streams, you'll know that I have some issues. Tamurkhan and his assault is generally placed somewhere around about the 2500s, somewhere around there, not late. Yet somehow, inside that book, it's mentioned that Gelt is the Supreme Patriarch of the 8 Colleges of Magic. But he wasn't at that point, because it was a Bright College Supreme Patriarch with Thyrus Gorman. So I think that either the dating for Tamurkhan's assault is completely wrong, and it happened much, much later, right up to the end times, or alternatively, they just got their facts wrong inside the good old Tamurkhan book. So there's a nice little bit for you. Anyway, just letting it run to the end. Gyrocopters coming in. Airships coming in. Oh, so many of them. That's so cool. And there's one in the background that's red. A red one and blue ones. Do you think that means that we're going to have different ones in game? Again, I don't know what's in. Do you think that means that we might actually have the Spirit of Grungni, which is the actual airship of Malachi Mackayson himself, and will be perhaps supported by others? That'd be quite fun if that's the case. I'm not sure if that is the case, but it certainly looks like it might be. And there we go. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, Spirit of Grundy. Oh, sweet. Oh, that's super sweet. Okay, so I'm going to quickly run through the super chats just in case there's any that need some answers, and I will indeed answer them. And then I'll give a quick summary of everything that we've seen, answer any questions that might pop up, and then we'll call it a day. But I have quite a few things that I would like to say before we bring the stream to an end. First, Kremlin must rise, bring back Kremlin. No! Tamurkhan has risen, Hammond. Tamurkhan has risen. There have been, if you don't know, good old Swartzaj, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name, I do apologize, has been posting Tamurkhan has risen inside various streams, either with myself or with Lore Master of Sotek, now for, I don't know, months, and finally, he has freaking risen. We are there. Tamurkhan come from Timur the Lame? Yeah, no. Cool. I'm looking forward to playing some Total War, Andy says. So I'm going to be playing Total War very soon. I'm going to do a video, I think, tomorrow of my new office, so you can see where I'm about to move into. The second I move into there, I'm going to be going through pretty much as much of it as I can. I play quite a lot of computer games, and I'm just going to move over to Total War for a while. At the moment, my computer game, my poison of choice, if you will, is Dragon's Dogma. I've been playing that a fair bit. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it as well. Hey, Biofoot78, this is all well and good, Andy, but for the big question remains, which one is secretly a fishman? And seriously, where's the Celestial Hurricane name? Yeah, there's actually a few characters that weren't in there, because I didn't see Sail the Faithless, for example. Sail the Faithless is a character from Tamurkhan who is effectively a non-aligned, let's say, Chaos Undivided Chaos Sorcerer. He's super fun. I didn't see any Bile Trolls or Chaos Trolls, but I presume they're going to be out there somewhere. I didn't see Juno, I mentioned Falk already for the Ironsides, and then Leopold the Black. He's a border prince. Who is exceedingly duplicitous and prone for betrayal. One of the lord choices for the Empire, and he withdraws in front of Tamurkhan all the way back up to Nuln and takes part in the fight down there. Then there's also Manan's Blade's captain, who is what's his name? Vander Kral, I think. Vander Kral. Captain Edward van der Kral, I think. I didn't spot him either, but he might be attached, I presume, over to the great Landships, since they are in there. He was the captain of the Manan's Blades that were on one of the Landships. So yeah, that's super fun. Anyway, Mr. Vorn says the troops shown with repeaters are Nuln Ironsides. Good to know. So they're going to get repeaters. That's super cool. Appreciate the content, Andy. Not a problem. I've enjoyed it so far, Michael. Thanks very much. Hammond pops in. Bring back Grimgerson. Grimgerson must rise. Yeah, absolutely. That is Gara Grim. Yeah. And looks like he's a Doomseeker. It really does look like it might be the case. That's well awesome. Apparently, to represent Tamurkhan jumping host, he does a ton of damage, regains health when he dies. For exact details, see Milk and Cookies. So he's going to do a ton of damage, and then he regains health when he dies. So he basically doesn't die and just pops back up as an ogre again. That's slightly disappointing. While simultaneously, I respect that they've tried to at least give it a go, because he obviously gets that moving from host to host thing going on. It's just in this case, he's just going to be regenerating his host. Not quite as cool, but still pretty cool. Landship stole one during a roleplay. Good times. So yes, they did. So I'm going to mention one thing about Elspeth concerning roleplay as well. Hammond says, send a DM of the units. So thanks very much for sending over the DM. I'll perhaps quickly run through those, Hammond. Thanks for that. It's Schwartz AJ. Thanks for the call out. And not a problem, Schwartz AJ. You rock. You're the best. And Luigi pops in with a quick, they are not in the trailer, but the Knights of the Black Rose in the DLC. Ooh. So we're getting ourselves a Morian order as well. I love that. So on that, why don't I just quickly pull up the comment that I got from Hammond? Because he's just passed over all the troops. So the new units include the Empire ranks are bolstered by an assortment of arms, such as the Marienburg Landship, which we saw. Steam tank volley gun. Oh, so a volley gun in the steam tank. Nice. Not a new option in terms of Warhammer, but certainly new for Total War. Nuln Ironsides. Good. We saw one of those. We mentioned the repeater. Hochland long rifles. We saw that with the engineer. That's basically, if you don't know what a long rifle is, it's exactly what you expect. It's a long rifle. Hochland has had long rifles since pretty much the 4th edition of the Warhammer game. It's a standard part of Hochland's unit choices. Next, we have the Knights of the Black Rose. Awesome. Do you like Morian Knights? Master Engineer Lord. So it is a Master Engineer. Oh, and an Engineer Hero as well. So that's obviously why they brought the Engineer up during the course of the trailer. And the Indomitable Theodore Bruckner, a legendary hero. Yeah, Theodore's awesome. So I'm really, really happy to see that he's there. Over on the Dwarf side, Engineering Excellent meets the Bearded Bravery. The Dwarf ranks are bolstered by Garagrim Ironfist, a legendary hero. Brilliant. Demon Slayer Lord, nice. Dragon Slayer Hero, nice. Doomseekers, awesome. So that's the ones that use their axes on chains and flail them around a little bit like their goblin fanatics. Next we have the Goblin Hewer, that's the axe throwing weapon. The Thunder Barge, obviously the airships that they were using. Then the Grudgeraker Thunderers. Oh, nice. And Slayer Pirates. Well, we get Long Drong as well. Slayer Pirates being slayers who are crazy enough to go down into things like Nautiluses, which are underwater ships that the Slayers crew as they go about from one place to the next doing Slayer things. And finally, let's have a quick check what Nurgle have got. The bloated ranks of Nurgle ooze strength. Of course they do. With the addition of units such as Kazek? I really need to figure out how to pronounce that one. Let's go with Kazek. Kazek the Befouled, legendary hero. The Chaos Lord of Nurgle, Lord, so it's just a basic Chaos Lord. The Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle, hero. Plague Ogres, Rot Knights, nice. They are there. Toad Dragons, we saw. Pestigore. The Bile Trolls are in there. That's good. Glad to hear that. I wonder if they'll have any special rules or whether it'll just be a skin change. If anyone knows that, that'd be super cool to actually call out. So, thanks for those. So, if anyone's asking where I'm reading those from, I just got sent them by somebody who was watching the stream. So, they just messaged me over in Discord. So, I just got sent them and just read them out from that post. So, I'm going to bring up something from that trailer now that we've done that, because there's one thing that always amuses me. Now, if you don't know already, most of the work that I've done, except for the occasional bit that I did with Black Library, was for the role-playing games. So for Warhammer role-playing games. And one of the jobs of a role-playing game writer is to take the stuff that's in Warhammer and to make it make sense. And to sit down and say, how does this work for people who are real? I.e., who is Elspeth von Draken? What does she do on a normal day? And more importantly, what stops her falling out when the dragon is flying? And that's what I wanted to see if they did anything about. Because I remember when it very first came out, Tamurkhan, and we got the model and popped it on, as you often do. We made the joke that was often made for Warhammer models. Yet again, they forgot to give them a seatbelt. It's just a silly joke, because you're never going to do that in a model. It's daft. But she has no seatbelt. She's literally sitting on a throne with nothing holding her in place. She's going to fall off that thing. Let's just say that she has some sort of magical artifact. She's a ghost woman. She's basically astride life and death anyway. So, you know, she's not falling off. But nevertheless, it did. Michael's comment made me laugh, so I'm going to bring it up. Cheeks of iron! She is indeed magnetised. They put little neodyne magnets into her bum. That's clearly what they've done to try and hold her in place. Sean has asked, what's my favourite unit shown out of them all? It's hard to say because so many of them are really quite blurry, and I might need to go and watch the trailer in HD and 4K, but I've got a feeling it's going to probably still be relatively blurry in that as well, because one of the goals of the trailer is to make it appear cinematic, and if you give it the crispness that you could get if you just ran it in engine, it looks like a computer game. It no longer looks cinematic. That blurring is what really makes it work. So that's tough to call, but from what I saw, because I really did want to see those little rot beasts and the rot knights, and they looked fine. We got a pretty good shot out of that from Kasich. So I'm probably going to go with, of all things, no, I think I'm going to go with the airships. Because we've had airships multiple times in Warhammer. Gotrek and Felix were not necessarily the first time that we saw them. All the way back in Man of War, that was the naval game that Games Workshop produced back in the early 90s. You got dwarf airships in there as well. They look more like dwarf war balloons, though. So they look like typical balloons with underslung dwarven, let's say, carriages. And I've always liked them. They've always felt very dwarfy. And when the gyrocopters became pretty much a standard for the dwarf army, it felt almost strange that they didn't also have the extra support that came from the war balloons. So actually seeing them in practice for me is kind of super awesome. So yeah, for me, probably the airship. So yes, Elspeth is not properly held in place, so she would fall. So I'm going to sum up with the following. That trailer freaking rocks, and I'm going to play it out at the end of this video so that you can all watch it one more time along with me, and I will very much try not to giggle my way through it because I really enjoyed it. I think it did exactly what it needed to do to build excitement. I'm a little sad that it's got no narrative element beyond, hey, Nuln is being attacked, which I suppose you could argue is a narrative element, but it's doing nothing to project a story and saying the DLC's got an ongoing story going here, which I quite like. But at the same point, the video was really just freaking awesome. We got to see lots of characters that we know from other settings, that we've known from, say, the Tamurkhan book, that we've known from all the way back Chaos Army list for Epidemius. That's the 8th edition one. So lots of interesting crossovers there that are super fun. And seeing them in action, Malachi Mackayson is just the freaking best. Really nice seeing them, particularly seeing them beside Garagrim and Gotrek and Felix at the same point. That's just super fun. So all of that was, I think, brilliant. I really enjoyed it, and much more so than I expected, because about half an hour before the trailer was going live, I'll admit that I was going, there's no way it's going to match my somewhat towering expectations here. But no, it's done a really good job. Obviously, I'm buying it because I'm going to be streaming it as well later. So I buy everything. I'm a complete shill. I'm not a shill, quite the opposite. I'm an easy lay. I buy literally everything. So yeah, I'll be buying it. But if I wasn't just buying it because I would be buying it, I'd definitely be sold by Elspeth because I freaking love her. I'm going to be using her as a character in my games. Always have really liked her. And it really wouldn't. Let me just bring this one up here. I'm not anymore, Wolfspaw. I haven't worked directly for Games Workshop for over 20 years, but I did work freelance for them, or worked running one of their games, one of their game licenses, as recently as just a few years ago. But I haven't done anything official now for a good, 4 years? 4 years? I've just been chilling away at home doing my own thing. In fact, we've been, I recently partnered up with some Warhammer legends, Mark Gibbons and Andy Chambers, and we released our own board game. If you go check the comments, not the comments, pardon me, the video description below, you'll see Dark Deeds. Go link on that and you'll see the thing that we're just doing, because Dark Deeds rocks. Anyway, that aside, I think the advert absolutely did its job, and I think it completely kicked ass. I hope you all agree, because I certainly enjoyed this one, and it's really got me hyped for what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to be, well, it's tomorrow night, midnight UK time, so if you're in the UK, it's going to be super late. If you're in Europe, it's like 1 in the morning, maybe 2 in the morning. If you're over in the US, it's going to be a far more sensible time. But I'm going to be sitting down and watching all of the trailers pretty much from Total War 3 and possibly a few others as well. We won't be going quite as in-depth as I did with this one because we won't have enough time. But it's going to be super fun going through them all, because I've only watched maybe about 5 of them. And there's a lot more than 5. And it's going to be freaking awesome. So that's going to be tomorrow at midnight UK time when I do it. I'm going to rewind our trailer like that. And say I'm very much looking forward to the DLC and everything it offers. And I'm very much looking forward to hopefully seeing you all tomorrow at midnight UK time. The video's sitting over on YouTube just now if you want to double check what your local time will be in with that. But let's sit down and watch this trailer one more time, because it actually kicks ass. Here we go. Fucking brilliant. That's what I say. Absolutely brilliant. And upon that, I will say thank you all for turning up to watch my reaction. I hope you reacted just as well as I did, because I'm actually delighted by that trailer by the end. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you all for our next stream, which will be tomorrow evening at 12 o'clock midnight. Stupid o'clock, as I like to refer to it. But until then, see you all later. Bye!